Next, we're going to work out what the tax rate is, or what the amount of tax that each person has to pay. One option would be to put the tax in the entire row, but because most of these people will probably be paying the same tax rate, for a value that is the same for each row, we can put it somewhere separate. So what I'm going to do is just click on H10, and I'm going to put a tax rate in here. I'm going to make up a tax rate and say it's 15%. So I'm going to type in 0.15. I can add a little label above it just to remind me of what it is. So I'm going to type in tax rate. So the tax rate is 0.15. Now we're going to begin for John. I'm going to click in E2. That's where our calculation is going to be. And I'm going to do it a little by hand this time. So I'm going to click in the formula bar. I'm going to type equal sign. I'm going to type in the bracket. So I'm pressing Shift 9. What I can then do is actually just click in a cell. So if I click in D2, in the formula bar, it types in for me D2. I then press on the keys Shift 8 to have the multiplication sign. And then I can just click on H10, which is the tax rate, and it types in H10 for me. I then type in Shift 0, which ends the brackets. Okay. And again, we've got the color coding, which helps us. Again, I just click on the check mark, and we're done. So the tax being paid is 52.5. Well, we want to have the tax that's being paid for each employee. So what I'm going to do now is drag the little black box in the corner of E2 down to E5. I'm going to release. Okay, so we seem to have a problem. The tax rate is 0 for everybody else. So what we're going to do now is use the formula bar to help us get some feedback and find out what's going wrong and what the problem is. So in E2, I click in the formula bar, and we can see D2 is multiplied by H10. That's as it should be, and that gave us a correct answer. I'm now going to try E3, and I'm going to click in the formula bar, and it's telling me D3 is multiplied by H11. Okay, so we've now been able to see why the row 3 has an error. It's because it's multiplying by H11. Let's have a look at some of the others. So row 4, so we're going to click in E4. Again, the first part is correct, so it's multiplying D4 but by H12. So it seems to be it's dropping down each time. So Excel is guessing what we want to multiply. So every time we've copied it down, it's dropped down corresponding number of rows. So each time it's gone a row down, each other parts of the calculation have dropped a row down. So we need to find a way to stop that happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to return to E2, and what I'm going to add for the tax value, so it's in H10, I'm going to add a $ before both the H for the column and the 10 for the row. And the $ can be found by typing in Shift 4 and before the 10. What the $ does, it anchors that particular cell. So we've got D2, that can still move downwards as we want it to, but now the column and the row for the tax value are going to be anchored and will not change. So even when we copy and paste, that value will always stay at H10. So I press Shift, and then again I copy down, and now we can see that the values have changed from being 0 to actual numbers, and we're going to see what's happened. So when I click in E3 this time, I'm clicking the formula bar, we can see we've got D3 multiplied by H10 the way we wanted it to be in row 4. So I click on cell E4, and then the formula bar, D4 multiplied by H10, and in row 5, so cell E5, click in the formula bar, D5 multiplied by H10. So now using the $, it's managed to anchor one of the values so it doesn't change even when we copy and paste. And that's exactly the way we'd like it to be. That's working correctly. we still have to calculate the net. So the net is going to be the gross minus tax. So again, I'm going to do it in one row and then copy and paste. So I'm going to do it for row 2. So I'm going to click on F2, which is the column for my net. And again, I'm going to click on the formula bar. We begin the calculations with an equal sign. Shift 9 to open the bracket. Then I can click on D2, which has the gross value. I can press the button for the minus sign, and then I can click in E2 for the tax, and then Shift 0 for the closing bracket, and then I can either click on the checkbox or just press enter. I'm going to press enter. So we have 297, and so if I click on that and drag down for our other rows, and it gives us the values for all of our employees. Well, we still have to do our totals, and we can do that easily by copy and pasting, by dragging. So we have our totals for hours. So if I click on C6, earlier we copied and pasted by dragging down, but you can also drag across. So the little box is still in the bottom right, and the cursor looks like a large white cross. If I move the cursor over the black box, it turns into a smaller, thinner black cross. I press the mouse and drag to the right, release, and it now makes calculations for the totals for gross, tax, and net.